Hey guys, great to be with you today. Just amazing day out. I pray you're able to get out and enjoy some of this day. And I also pray that you guys are just able to see, to understand more of what God is doing in your life and around you as you're rooted and just grounded in Him more and more. Hey, well, I'm going to give you some quick updates, followed by just a short Devo. So updates this Sunday between the second and third celebrations, like right around 11:10, 11:15, we're going to be having a ribbon cutting ceremony. Yeah, that's right. We're going to like put a ribbon across the doors and, go out there, cut it and all that kind of stuff. So pomp isn't one of my big things. Okay. I get it. But, we want to do something that lets our region know that the church building is like finished and we are fully operational and all that it could come out and stuff, because the building's a tool, and so we want to let people know. And so we just see it as an opportunity to invite people in that normally wouldn't come in, right? Like the contractors who worked on the church, they might not come another time, so we wanted to invite them out. Like we've maintained right along, the building is a tool. That's what it is. It's a tool to impact the region in Jesus Christ. So we want to leverage it any way that we can, and so use it to that end. So the grand opening, though, not a ribbon cutting ceremony, grand opening of the building will be later on this year, or in a year to come. Whatever it is, we're waiting for some of this COVID pandemic stuff to be less of a threat, whatever that looks like. And then we're going to celebrate. I mean, we're going to have a real big celebration. But so we're going to have a ribbon cutting ceremony this week, 11:15. If you want to come out to that, that's great. Just like do the whole social distancing thing too, because the papers will probably be there. And we want that to look right as well. Okay. With the church being fully operational, what I mean by that is that we now have all the ministries in the church up and running that were like pre-COVID. They're all up and running. The scope isn't as great. I mean, we're limited. We're working on that as well. But all of them are operational. Last week we opened up all of Calvary Kids at 11:30 gathering. So like from nursery right on up, fully operational and running at 11:30 now. And you guys who came knocked it right out of the park with signing up early for the kids. A lot of you guys did. That allowed the ministers in there to prep their classrooms and to plan so much easier on them. Not that we don't like surprises, like, oh, how many kids are going to show up? But 2020's had a lot of surprises already, and people are kind of like, tweaky a little bit about surprises now. So anyway, youth ministries, they're all up and running. They've been up and running 10 o'clock and 11:30, as well as Wednesday at 7 p.m. They are all, Ignite is running, so junior and senior high are running. They have full run of the building on Wednesday, and last week was just awesome. See all these kids in there in the building, like just all over the place. It was awesome. Soon up, we're going to have children's ministry that will be opening at 8:30. Not this week, okay, but soon at 8:30. We're going to phase that in, fourth and fifth graders, then second and third, and backing up just like that to nursery. We can start seeing the phase in of that as early as mid-September, so it's right around the corner. So just keep praying on that. People that are ministering to kids are just absolutely amazing. What a place of just serving Jesus and ministering to kids. And then life groups, yeah, we've got them going too. Go to calvarysouthbury.info to find out info on that. So calvarysouthbury.info, good place to find information on life groups. Okay, with that, I believe full out that 2020 can be some of the greatest year that we have ever had in our church's life. We are seeing Jesus move just in an extraordinary way. I mean, from just accounts, reports from people of beautiful transformative work in their lives, to answered prayers, to people just responding to the gospel. I just encourage you. We're trying to figure out how to do baptisms and stuff like that. I just encourage you, invite people out. Grab some invite cards. They say you are loved on them, have our times on the back. Invite people to church. Like, how are people going to hear about Jesus and the glorious life that he gives unless we're a little bit bold? I mean, besides that, a card that says you are loved on it, I mean, people just need to read that stuff anyway. So anyway, let's go to Mark is where we're going to do our Devo today. I was reading this the other day. It kind of struck a note with me. Been encamped on it for a few days now, so I want to share some of it with you and sort of leave something with you maybe that you can run with it even further. Mark chapter 11, verse 15, Jesus in the temple area, it says, so they came to Jerusalem, and Jesus went into the temple and began to drive out those who bought and sold in the temple, and overturned the tables of the money changers and the seats of those who sold doves. And he would not allow anyone to carry wares through the temple. And he taught, saying, Is it not written, my house shall be called a house of prayer for all the nations, but you have made it into a den of thieves. Jesus is going to be crucified by the end of the week. He's going to be raised from the dead 3 days after that. He was just hailed as Messiah by crowds of people as he rode into Jerusalem on the back of a donkey, riding into the gates of up onto the Temple Mount area, or into Jerusalem. And then Jesus did what he so often does. He does the unthinkable. He goes into the temple area and he starts driving out those who are profiting off of others with their merchandise and their money exchanges. So let's just talk about the temple a little bit so that we can get a grasp, maybe a little bit deeper, of what's going on. Okay, in the temple precincts, you had like the temple itself, and you had various courts where people could come and they could worship God, right? And so there was the temple proper, and the area right around the temple. No one was allowed in the area around the temple, like where the altar was and all of that, except for the priests of Levi, the tribe of Levi, and they were allowed there for specific duties. In the temple itself, you had two rooms. One was called the holy place and the other the most holy place. The holy place, only the sons of Aaron could come. So you had to be a descendant of Aaron in order to go into that room. And you could only go in there when you had specific tasks to do, and your name was drawn by lot. And, you maybe got to go in there once in your life, twice if you were extremely blessed. But then you had this place called the Holy of Holies. That was a room no one could go in except for the high priest. And he could only go in there one day out of the year. The presence of God dwelt in that place, and that's its own study. We're not going to go there right now, but the point I'm trying to make is it's extremely exclusive. Like from the Holy of Holies, where only the high priest could go, to outside of that where the sons of Aaron could go, to outside of that where only the priests, the Levites of the tribe of Levi could be, and then outside of that you had the court of the men, and outside of that you had the court of the women where the treasury was, and then outside of that was the court of the Gentiles. The court of the Gentiles was open to all people. So like if you were interested to see like what is this worship of God and what does it look like, or what does it look like to draw near to God, like this was the place that you could go. The problem is that the place was filled with people hawking their merchandise, right? And all these loud exchanges of bartering and a stench of greed from this vortex, extrapolating as much from the exchange of money as possible. People getting ripped off all over the place, and nobody likes to get ripped off. So you can just kind of imagine the energy of that place as well. Well, Jesus doesn't get angry often. He's slow to anger, just like Exodus 34 tells us when God pronounced his name. One of his names is slow to anger. So that's Jesus. But when he does get angry, like watch out. And here's one of those times. Why the anger? They're keeping people from meeting and seeing God. Like Jesus knew, like this was an obstruction that's going to keep people from worshiping and from doing what God desires for them to do, right? To draw near to him, but also it keeps the nation of Israel from doing what they've been called to do, because you're setting a whole tone here. And so individually, as a nation, nobody can do what God had called them to do and to be. Now, because of Jesus' crucifixion and resurrection, the temple model got switched. It got switched from a place to now a people. Like 2 Corinthians 6:16 tells us, for you are the temple of the living God. Now he's talking to the whole church, like in Corinth, like you all are the temple of the living God. But it also rolls down individually as well. For we are the temple of the living God. As God has said, I will dwell in them and walk among them, and I will be their God, and they shall be my people. I liked what Peter Scazzaro said about this passage in Mark. He said this. He says Jesus' intense anger ought to make us gasp. He knows that if we don't go to God, if we don't get to God, invaluable treasure will be lost or obscured. We lose the space where we experience God's unfailing love and amazing forgiveness. We lose an eternal perspective on what is important and what is not. We lose compassion. We gain the world, but we lose our souls. So just think about this for a minute. Like, what in my life have I allowed that just fills up that temple area? You know, with the hawking, with the bartering, with the screams, all the distractions or the greed. What things do I allow in my life that keeps me from just meeting with God, hearing from him, just walking with him? Or put it a different way, like, what do I allow? Like, what thing is it today that's blocking the way to experiencing God? Jesus will still clean house if we desire for him to. And it is so good when he does. Okay, so that's what I want to share with you today. Run with it. Sit before Jesus. Ask him, what's blocking my view of you? He'll show you. He's faithful. God bless you guys. See you Sunday.